family vacation, I discovered that my husband was having an affair. In 2016, my husband and I were pastors of a church and we had 4 young kids. And on a family vacation, I discovered that my husband was having an affair. We were actually in the house with the person that Gabriel had the affair with. And so immediately I ran out of that house. Gabriel caught up with me at that moment and he was apologizing. And I was like, I want to hurt you right now. In that season, being pastors of a church, we had elders that we needed to share the story with, and Gabriel confessed to them. And their response was that we needed to be removed from leadership immediately. And that was really painful in that moment to experience not only the loss of my marriage, but the loss of the community that I had built for so long. The Lord spoke to me and he said, I'm going to give you a new husband. Whether that's Gabriel and he changes or someone else, I'm going to give you a new husband. And I just grabbed onto that in that moment. There was something that was going to come out of this. Gabriel moved out of our home. He said goodbye to our kids. So I spent a lot of time in prayer, in my prayer closet, crying out to the Lord. And that was my safe place to process everything that I was going through in that season. And I started to recognize that I really had never learned how to experience my emotions and how to let them out, because that was something we'd never been taught. Nobody ever really talked about processing emotions. In one of those times, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, listen to the Bethel podcast. I had never heard of Bethel at all. I didn't know any of the pastors, but I downloaded it. And the first one I listened to was by Chris Valentin, and it's a message called Old Testament versus New Testament prophets. And it was almost like I felt something in my brain shift when I was like, I'm going to hear from the Lord from myself in this situation. So over the course of those few months, I decided that I was going to move out to Redding and bring my kids. I told one of my friends, I'm going to meet with Gabriel tomorrow and I'm going to tell him that I'm moving to Redding with the kids because I believe that's where God's calling us. And so I sat in front of him for coffee and he looked at me and he said, I found this church, Bethel in California, and I think I need to go there. I think I need to move there. And I said, I'm sorry, what? How do you know what Bethel is? Like, I had no idea. He told me that right when the affair happened and he left our house, he went to the only friend that he had, and that person handed him Danny Silk's Culture of Honor. It just changed his life. And so he had been, over the course of 5 months, devouring Bethel's stuff, and neither of us knew that we even knew about Bethel. We started doing marriage counseling, but still living separately. God really did give me a completely new husband. Seeing Gabriel go after being a healthy human and healing from the trauma that he had been in was completely different than the way he had dealt with anything before. And it became clear that the Lord was bringing us back together, not as who we were before, but as 2 completely new humans, building a completely different legacy for our kids. So our marriage today is completely different than the marriage that we had before. It is one where we're 2 powerful people that are accomplishing our goals together. We're supporting one another in the dreams and the visions that we have for our life, not only together, but also our individual goals and dreams. Nobody had any hope that we would still be together, but there's no impossible situation. The Lord can turn around any single situation that you give to him.